The rancher dug a well, then found a staircase leading to underground voices. The rancher lived where maps stopped caring. His land stretched across a dry frontier planet that settlers called Red Hollow, a world where dust storms moved like slow oceans and water was more valuable than gold. He was not a man who chased adventure. He woke early, worked slowly, and believed that patience solved more problems than strength ever could. His ranch stood alone beyond the main colony fences. Metal barns, solar panels, and long lines of grazing animals filled the horizon. Most settlers depended on imported supplies, but he tried to live from the land itself. That meant fixing broken machines, growing tough plants that survived heat, and most importantly, searching for water. For years, he relied on shallow wells and recycled reserves. But the drought grew worse each season. Rivers vanished into cracked ground. Neighbors talked about leaving. Some already had. The rancher stayed. He decided to dig deeper. The drilling machine roared day after day, biting into rock that felt older than memory. Dust covered everything. The sun burned white above him while the wind carried whispers of distant storms. He worked alone except for a small, hovering robot that lifted debris away. On the fifth day, the drill struck something different. The sound changed from grinding stone to hollow echo. He stopped immediately. The rancher knelt beside the hole and brushed away loose soil. Beneath the dust, smooth black stone appeared, cut into sharp edges, not natural, not built by any settlers either. Curiosity pulled him closer. He widened the hole carefully until the shape became clear, a staircase descending into darkness. He stared at it for a long time. The colony records said nothing existed under this land. Survey scans showed only solid rock. Yet someone had carved steps here long before humans arrived. He turned on his wrist light and climbed down. The air grew cooler with each step. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly when his light passed over them. They curved like flowing water, unlike any writing he had seen. Halfway down, he stopped. He heard something, not exactly sound, more like distant voices carried through vibration, a hum that seemed to touch his thoughts instead of his ears. He almost climbed back up. The rancher trusted caution, but another feeling held him in place, a quiet sense that he was not in danger. He continued. The staircase opened into a wide underground chamber. Blue light filled the space without any visible source. Floating stones hovered above the floor, arranged in a circle around a raised platform covered in glowing lines. The humming grew stronger. Then the voices reached him. They were not words at first, only emotions, curiosity, recognition, patience. The rancher froze. Images flashed through his mind. Underground rivers, ancient oceans, a planet once filled with green life. He saw beings made of light shaping the land gently, guiding water through hidden paths beneath the surface. He stepped back, heart racing. "I don't understand," he said quietly. The voices responded by slowing the images, showing him smaller pieces. A system built long ago to keep the planet alive. A network that balanced water and energy beneath the ground. Caretakers. They had waited for someone. The rancher felt uncomfortable with that idea. He was not special. He was just a man trying to keep animals alive. Yet another image appeared, him sharing water with neighbors during hard seasons, repairing broken pumps for free, refusing to abandon the land when storms destroyed half the colony. The system had watched. He swallowed slowly. "I just wanted a well," he said. The platform lit brighter. A map formed in the air showing glowing tunnels spreading across miles of land. Hidden reservoirs rested beneath dry plains, untouched for centuries. Hope filled him. Then a warning followed. If activated too quickly, the system could collapse. Energy flows needed balance, careful steps, patience. He understood that word well. The voices did not demand anything. They simply waited. He stepped closer and placed his hand on the platform. Light moved beneath his fingers. Knowledge flowed into him gently, like learning to guide animals instead of controlling them. He felt pathways, pressure points, and delicate systems responding to touch. He pulled his hand back quickly, overwhelmed. Above him, the sun continued its slow journey across the sky. No one knew what he had found. The rancher climbed back to the surface, his thoughts heavy. The land looked the same, dry, silent, waiting. That night he sat outside his home watching the stars. The voices remained quiet but present, like distant companions. If he opened the system, water could return, but water meant attention, and attention brought danger. The next morning he returned underground. This time he moved slowly, testing small controls. The platform responded like a living instrument. He guided energy through a narrow channel. Hours later, a soft vibration traveled upward through the soil. By evening, a thin spring appeared near his northern fence. Clear water flowed across dust for the first time in years. His animals gathered cautiously, then drank deeply. The rancher felt relief but also fear. He knew secrets never stayed hidden long on a frontier world. Within days, neighbors came to see the miracle. Some celebrated. Others asked questions he avoided answering directly. He told them he had found a deep underground source. That part was true, but ships began appearing in the sky. Survey vessels scanned the land from orbit. Corporate signals reached the colony network. Someone had noticed. The rancher returned underground again, and this time the voices felt alert. They showed him visions of outsiders forcing the system open too quickly, breaking balance and destroying everything it protected. He understood the danger clearly. Protecting the system mattered as much as using it. Standing in the glowing chamber, he realized digging a well had changed more than his ranch. It had given him responsibility for the entire world beneath his feet. And far above, unknown eyes watched, reminds of green returning to dead land. The real test had just begun. Say continue and I will send. The rain came back a week later, and nobody in the colony could believe it. It started as a light tapping on metal roofs, so soft that people thought it was only dust. Then the drops grew heavier, turning the red ground dark and sticky. Children ran outside with buckets and open hands. Old settlers stood under awnings and stared at the sky like it was a miracle they did not deserve. The rancher did not celebrate right away. He watched the clouds and listened to the land. He had learned something important since finding the staircase. Water was not only a gift, it was a promise, and promises attracted hungry people. From the ridge above his ranch, he could see the corporate camp beyond the colony fence. White tents, scanner towers, and neat lines of vehicles. The company people did not look at the rain with wonder. They looked at it like evidence. The lead representative, a smooth man with careful eyes, kept visiting the colony leader. He spoke about partnership and progress. But the rancher had heard those kinds of words before. On frontier worlds, partnership often meant that someone else held the leash. Down below, the underground chamber hummed with soft blue light. The voices felt steady but no longer sleepy. They were awake now, aware that the surface world had noticed the change. The rancher stood at the well site in the early morning. The opening looked normal from the outside, hidden beneath tools and a half-built pump frame. He kept it covered when visitors came. Still, he knew secrecy could only last so long. His small group of trusted allies arrived one by one. The colony leader came first, boots muddy from the rain. Two neighbors followed, people who had stayed through every dry season and storm. A quiet scientist from the colony arrived last, carrying a tablet and wearing a worried expression. They gathered beside the well and the rancher spoke in a calm, clear voice. "They're going to push harder," he said. "They can't stop themselves." The scientist nodded. "Their scans show anomalies under your ranch. They don't know what it is, but they know it's valuable." The colony leader exhaled slowly. "We need a plan. If we fight them, they might bring force. If we give in, we lose the future." The rancher said nothing for a moment. He stared across the wet plains where thin green shoots were already breaking through the soil. Life was returning, but it was fragile. He had been thinking about one choice for days. "Come with me," he said. He led them down the staircase again. The chamber welcomed them with the soft hum of ancient energy. Blue light painted their faces. The floating stones in the circle drifted gently, as if breathing. The platform in the center glowed, and the voices reached outward like a calm wind. This time the rancher did not keep the voices to himself. He stepped aside and let the others stand closer to the platform. At first, they only felt warmth and faint vibration. Then the images began to reach them too, underground rivers, hidden tunnels. A living network that connected water and land like roots under a tree. They saw the past, a planet once filled with oceans, then slowly drying, then caretakers building a system to protect what remained. The neighbors' faces changed as understanding settled in. The colony leader's eyes filled with quiet awe. The scientist whispered, "This is intelligent." The rancher nodded. "It's not a machine the way we think, it's more like a partner." The voices sent one clear warning through all of them, a shared feeling, simple and strong, slow. Steady, no rushing. When they climbed back to the surface, the group felt different, less frightened, more focused. They decided to act openly but wisely. The colony leader called a public meeting for that afternoon. She invited everyone in the settlement, and she also invited the corporate team. Not as a surrender, but as a test. People gathered in the main yard near the water tanks, standing under the last dripping clouds. The air smelled of wet earth. The corporate representative arrived with 2 guards and a tablet full of charts. He smiled like he already owned the conversation. The colony leader began. "We have found an underground water system," she said. "It is fragile. It cannot be forced open. It must be managed carefully." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Hope and fear mixed together. The corporate representative raised his hand politely. "Our company has experience with resource management. We can help scale this discovery for the benefit of many colonies. We can bring pumps, filters, specialists." The rancher stepped forward before the man could keep building speed. "This isn't a resource to harvest," the rancher said calmly. "It's a system that keeps the land stable. If you rush it, you break it." The representative's smile tightened. "With respect, sir, you are a rancher, not an engineer." The rancher did not flinch. "That's why the system chose me," he said, "because I don't rush land, I care for it." The crowd went quiet. Even the guards seemed uncertain. The representative's eyes narrowed slightly. "Chose you?" the colony leader answered before the rancher could say more. "What matters is this," she said. "We will not allow uncontrolled drilling. We will form a council to oversee every change. Colony members, scientists. Outside partners if they accept the rules." The corporate man's face hardened. "Rules are negotiable," he said. "No," the rancher said softly. "They aren't." The wind rose slightly, and distant thunder rumbled like the planet itself was listening. The corporate representative took a step forward. "Then you leave us no choice. We have legal authority from—" A new voice cut through the air. It was the scientist holding up her tablet. "I have analyzed the scans," she said loudly. "This system is tied to the entire region's stability. If heavy drilling happens, tunnels may collapse. If tunnels collapse, water could vanish again. Or worse, the ground could become unstable across miles." Fear rippled through the crowd. The corporate man hesitated. The rancher looked at him steadily. "You can be part of this," he said, "but you don't get to own it. Nobody does." The representative's jaw tightened. He glanced at the colonists surrounding him. These were not soldiers, but their eyes were hard and their stance was united. The rain had changed them. Hope had given them strength. The corporate man realized something important. This colony was not begging anymore. He lowered his hand slowly. "If we agree to oversight," he said, choosing his words carefully, "we will need assurance that this system can expand to other settlements." The rancher nodded. "It can, slowly, with training, with respect." The corporate representative studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded once, not happily, but with acceptance. An agreement took shape over the following days. A council was formed. The colony leader chaired it, the scientist monitored data, the rancher guided the platform, and the neighbors provided practical wisdom. The corporate team was allowed to assist, but only under strict rules. No deep drilling, no forcing energy flows. Every change had to be small and tested. At first, progress felt frustratingly slow to some people, but week by week, the land proved the rancher right. Small springs became stable streams. Shallow lakes formed in old basins. Soil softened. Plants grew. Birds returned, carried by winds from distant regions. The animals on the ranch grew healthier. The colony's mood shifted from survival to rebuilding. And the voices under the ground began to grow quieter. Not because they were leaving, but because they were finally being heard by many, not just one. One evening, months later, the rancher rode his old rover along the edge of a new green patch. He stopped and stepped down, letting his boots sink into damp soil. The sunset painted the plains gold. In the distance, children chased each other near a small stream that had once been only dust. The rancher looked toward the well site, now protected and carefully maintained. The staircase remained hidden beneath it, waiting. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like what he had always been, a caretaker. He understood now that the greatest discoveries were not treasures meant to be taken. They were responsibilities meant to be shared. The wind moved across the growing grass, carrying the sound of flowing water. And deep beneath the ranch, the ancient voices rested in quiet satisfaction because the land was no longer being fought over. It was finally being cared for.